Future trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. He is Andy. It is the very first day of July. How are you doing, my friend?
If I was any better, I'd be you. How about that?
So I like to hear it.
Look at this. My pen matches my shirt, by the way, kind of.
Put it in front. I couldn't even see it. You excited for Independence Day on Friday?
Are you got some fireworks going, by the way? What's going on with
we're
that?
going to. I mean, as long as we get a little bit of rain. My neighbors talked about having some, so it should be a pretty good Friday evening.
Do you have any like bottle rockets?
They've got a whole setup. They built a platform to launch them from. It's actually pretty sweet. They wired them in. It's pretty cool.
Can't do that in Illinois. I got to drive up. Paige and I got to drive up to Michigan.
Dude, come on over.
We are allowed to look at charts, though, in Illinois.
There you go. And today, we got 3 charts. All 3 of them came at request.
3 charts, 3 requests. 2 charts came from 1 request. 1 chart came from 1 request.
There you go.
First one from our good friend, longtime listener. We'll have him as a first-time caller someday, Jay Barf.
Jay Barf, he's back.
Jay Barf wanted to look at August feeders. What a run feeder cattle has had here. I mean, this has just been, we've talked about it so much. I feel like we've talked about it so many times, but it's just like, it's like this big bull run that we've had in feeders. It's old news, but it's just mind blowing. It's like we're seeing history being made every single day because we're into like record contract highs, not just like contract highs, but all-time record for the actual feeder cattle contract itself.
Right.
So I think we actually had somebody pose this question to us internally as well, are we starting to see the beginning of a lower high, which would be a bearish indicator?
Correct.
I feel like every time we've tried to say something to that effect, we have gotten promptly punched in the nose. I will say at the very least, some of the shorter term trend, you can argue was broken here recently. Mm-hmm. With today's close kind of getting right out of it, right? And so actually you probably want to see that one. That's a tough one. So I'd probably argue it's more like that. Either way, we managed to close outside of the shorter term uptrend, but the big long one, we're not too close. We're still pretty far away from that, right?
Right.
Sticks out to me is this $300 level.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. You're wrong. Like if you were to buy it right now, you're wrong if we drop below 300. Because I think the last time we had talked about this actually was, a couple of weeks ago, and we had talked about the same thing of that $300 mark it's a big place
huge
on
number.
The chart. It was resistance. Now it's become support. Does it become support again? I mean, I would argue a week and a half ago, it was just that. So there's a bunch of people that were talking about this is the last of it. This is the run is over. Time to get short. Well, we hit 300 and then bounced off and went back to 310 within, 3 trading sessions.
Yeah. So I totally agree with everything you're saying. And while you were saying that, I drew this one too, because this was this area right here, 270 set to call it 278 and change. This area was clear resistance and then became support. Yeah. Right. And what's interesting is that we're getting a similar type setup where you had an attempt right here to tried to put in like an M.
Yeah.
Wasn't as pronounced as this, if this is going to be it, but it still tried. And then once it came down to this key support area, it blew right through it.
Exactly.
And so I think it's really hard to say that this is going to be, this is it. Like we're going to roll over. Until you really start to blow through some of these key support areas. The first one being, to your point, $300.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you wanted to sell it, give it a shot. You're wrong right here.
Yep.
It's a bit of a ways to go. $8, that's a lot. Conversely, if you wanted to be a buyer, to your point, you're wrong if we settle below $300. This is kind of no man's land. It's a tough one because you're just like, you're right in the middle of this stuff.
It really is. I think we settled 306 today, so you're just smack dab in the middle of it. Yeah, I would almost wait to be okay. So you buy it now, you're wrong if we drop below 300, $6 away from here. But at the same token, do you wait till we get to 300 to buy it, to step in and try to own this contract?
I think you have to be. To me, the trend continues to be up.
I would agree with that.
I don't think we've seen anything that would suggest yet that the uptrend has ended. Yeah. When I go and look at the momentum is still positive, Money flow is still 60 is a pretty high value for money flow, which suggests that the upside of the trade is still like in control in terms of volume. Like you're getting more volume on days that are higher, basically. That's what this is basically trying to tell you. So interestingly enough, the secondary indicators aren't giving you any sort of sign that the trend is reversed. So I think people are looking at this and saying like, well, is this going to be a lower high? It's possible. You have yet to see any sort of formal confirmation. This is a dicey one. I don't think I'd do anything here. And that is a trade.
It is.
Doing nothing is a trade.
You'd wait for confirmation.
I think you have to see how it plays out. Yeah, for sure. Because it's still trending higher. So if you're trying to sell it, every time you've tried to sell it, punch in the nose. Every single time.
Yep, exactly.
The market's trending higher. Just because we're in all-time record highs doesn't mean it can't stay there or continue to move into new, So yeah, this one to me, it's a little bit, it's a cautionary tale here because you're getting a potential for a lower high, which is a bearish sign, but you still have this very long, well-established uptrend that has not been tested. It's got tested once, right kind of in here, and then just took off.
Yeah.
You also have a key area of support that hasn't been broken through yet. So I think at the very least, you're waiting to, if you're looking to be a seller and get confirmation that this is in fact a lower high, which is what I feel like people are looking at, you got to break through $300.
Yeah. Which could happen tomorrow. The way the market traded today, it could happen tomorrow. I would also say that I think the volume traded is going to be interesting because the initial margin on these contracts is upwards of $4,500 plus, which is no small chunk of change for.
That's a lot.
It is for people that trade that. What is class 3? Are we at
$1,800? Call it 18 and change. So call it $1,900.
Okay, so
we're talking about 3-4x
exactly.
Ish.
And I wonder if that starts to scare people at these all-time high numbers. Like you said, not saying we couldn't go back into all-time highs, but that is not a small chunk of change to get into one of these contracts.
It's interesting. I mean, it's a good call out. It's something that I think people are going to continue to want to talk about for sure. All right. Thanks, J Barf. Appreciate it. We'll certainly want to keep an eye on that bad boy.
Yep.
We have another request, another one of our longtime listeners, and they have put in requests before. This is our international presence.
That's right.
D's Corn. We looked at this last time, I think.
We did.
We've looked at this. Obviously, we've looked at this one before. This is tough because to me, so let's get rid of a few things here to kind of clean it up a little bit. We'll keep this one though, because I think this is the one that could be a little bit dicey. This 430 area, more or less, right? I know this isn't precise, but 430 obviously has acted as pretty good support, and it's now acting as resistance. You already said it once. What was once support becomes resistance and vice versa. You already talked about that before in feeders just now. So is it going to continue? Like 430 is obviously a very big key area. And what's interesting about this is that the only thing that bothers me about this chart is this candle right here, today's candle. It looks like a big fat hammer. I mean, to me, this could be, I think you go and test 430 again and see where this market really is.
Right.
Meaning like, if you can't break through 430 and come back down, that is a real sign of weakness. Because this has obviously had a pretty substantial break. It's done it on a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. I mean, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 broke through support. That is so, like, that's several confirmations in a row.
Yeah.
So it's hard to argue. I also threw this one on in here too. The ADX. It's an indicator that basically indicates strength and trend. It's an absolute value, and so like the fact that it going up basically is saying that the trend is building strength. Whatever trend is in place is building strength. It going down is telling you. So like here, see how the market was kind of consolidating? It's starting to lose momentum. Whereas like right here, from here to here, very strong trend. So it's moving higher.
Yeah.
So just because it's going up doesn't mean the market needs to be going up. All it means is that there's an established trend.
Okay.
This is saying that, like that ADX is saying that the downtrend here, like the price action that built that strength in the ADX, so in this case, lower price action, is becoming a well-established trend.
So speaking of that, if you wouldn't mind, can you switch it to a weekly really quick? Here is, and this is building off of the feeders that we just looked at, and you have them circled from last time that we looked at this.
Boom, boom.
We created a lower high, promptly broke off of that, and then if you look, I don't know if you have it circled or not, back in July, August type time frame, actually August, September, there's a gap at 395. And I know you and I have talked about it before. A lot of markets like to go and trade even numbers. The next closest even number is going to be $4, right?
$4.
So my question is, do we go test $4? The market starts to kind of overreact, freak out a little bit. You trade 391, fill the gap on a weekly basis, and then kind of sit there and dictate, okay, where are we truly at in this market? Because at that price, you're going to be near the lows that we saw, like I said, back
This
last
is COVID.
year. Exactly. And then you got to go back 5 years.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Okay.
It's hard because, like, you're saying, you're suggesting that people could short after a pretty substantial break. But
Correct.
To your point, the weekly is saying it's weak. I think you'd want to have a little bit of a tighter stop on it. That's why I looked at that 430 number. I think you have to give this hammer a chance, shorter term, like you're talking about more of like an execution standpoint.
Yep.
Right here, right? That's a hammer. Typically, you see those, and they're followed with more friendly price action, bullish price action. That's why I see this hammer, and I'm like, well, the first thing I think that's like the subsequent price action, and it's only 8 cents, is to move back into this, to go test this area of now resistance. On support, now resistance. If it can't stay resistance, and you see like a close, let's say it goes and tests 430, opens at 431, closes at 436 the next day.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to sell it at all. So I think a test of that is necessary. And then if it fails against it, then that's another sign that it's a sale.
Right.
It's tough.
And so let's think about that with this short week. So today is Tuesday. We got Wednesday, Thursday trading. We're closed for the holiday on Friday, 4th of July. The funds are net short. I think it's 200,000 positions plus right now for corn. So tell me if I'm thinking about this wrong. Would the funds wait, or anyone else, would we wait for the next 2 days to see if we can't bump up against 430, maybe 435 like you're talking about? Wait until after we get back after the weekend, the long holiday weekend, and then reestablish more short positions into the corn market?
I don't know. Short answer is I don't know. I don't think it really. I don't necessarily think it's like waiting. Will we absolutely have to wait until after the holiday? Because if they're looking to add shorts, what if tomorrow we're below this low?
Agreed. I'm saying with your hammer right now, if you're going to get that bump up to 430, 435, would you wait to see if you can actually get back up there by Thursday night?
If we open higher, so tonight. Right, 7. So they get open to what, 7:30 p.m. Central.
Yep.
Like if we open higher tonight, and then are trading higher at the 8 that tomorrow's open, tomorrow morning, then yeah, I think you got to give it a chance.
Okay.
I think this is one of those times where it's like you want to be mindful of like, okay, we've got like the technical pattern kind of taking shape. What does the next bar open start to look like? Because if you open below this, what does this open here? So 420. This thing, it did settle lower on the day, but if this thing's like, if you settle below, let's say you open at like 420, right? So 2 cents lower from here, like basically go back to this open, or like this settlement, 421. That's a sign of like, that's a failure for this hammer to start to play out. You need to see you really need to see an open above this close, which is 422. You would need to see like a 423 type open. And then maybe your 424 to 425 come 8:30 tomorrow morning. Then yeah, I definitely want to wait to see how that's showing more signs of strength, that's actually has some legitimacy to it. This candle right here.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a dicey one for sure. But to your point, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 lower highs in a row, breaking of major support, and then the weekly. I mean, there's nothing that's in looking at the weekly that says this is a screaming buy. I mean, you have this big, huge lower high, and then this gap right here that's unfinished business.
Yep.
So I agree. I mean, I think if you're looking for spots to sell it, or at least maintain shorts, if you're short, maybe you're buying calls but staying short.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
All right, we got one more, right? It's an oldie but a goodie. Woo. This is CME Cheddar block, trades on a spot basis at the exchange. We look at it on a weekly basis. Huge day. This would have been yesterday. It really was. Yeah. So today's Tuesday. Yesterday was Monday. That's why it gapped open like this. Yesterday we were up 10. So what's interesting is that it's making a clear bounce off of this support area. Yeah. I mean, we've just been in this channel, this one big channel, since we entered into it back in October of last year. So the failure to break through this and really like we should have opened at like 160 on Monday. So this is saying at the very least we want to try to fill this gap, I think.
I agree. Yeah.
And what's interesting is what was it? Thursday, Friday, maybe even earlier than that, but we had 3 days in a row where I believe it was the August futures in particular. So not July's pricing right now. This is, I would believe, week 3 of July.
Mm-hmm.
But the August futures, my God, what do they trade? Like 1,000 plus contracts a day?
Yeah.
Or something, 1,200.
In a row.
In a row. Each day was 1,000 cars plus.
Yeah.
And it was trading at, let's actually,
we're at 614 right now.
Hang on. Since we're on the subject. So this is August real fast. Yeah, it was basically these 3 days. So you really could, I mean, it took over 3,500 cars to get this price action right here. And this is all pretty well, this at the time was well premium to this cash market, $17.75. Cash was sub $16 on the current cash basis.
Mm-hmm.
So you get massive volume changing hands all of a sudden. So there was certainly some signs in the futures market, at least, that was suggesting like people were willing to take ownership at a price that was well above the current, what was the current spot market at the time. So let me just dial this back in. There we go. Okay. So yeah, it's hard to argue. Like this has been like this channel that we've built.
$1.60 to $1.95.
Yeah. And like the fundamentals haven't changed a whole heck of a lot. It seems like it's old news, but still the same. Like the rest of the world's floating over $2. It seems like we're pretty awfully competitive export wise when you start talking about 160 cheese, but this market's shown us when you start talking about 185, 190 cheese, it doesn't like it very much.
No. And when it doesn't like it, we retrace in a hurry.
Well, and I always butcher this.
Bulls climb up the stairs and bears jump out of the window.
You see, you said it was like so eloquently, but also like just in a way that it wasn't rushed. Just felt like
the only reason is because we've talked.
Like you're the real star of the show. I mean, like just when you say
we've talked about it,
just
especially
like
on this where it comes to fruition, right? Like when things are bearish, we are bearish.
This feels like it's in its channel. Like, I guess I look at it and say, you made a clear bounce off of this low. Futures are telling us we're going to continue to move higher, even after today's price action, right? We rallied $1 in futures in 2 days and retraced 25 cents of it-ish.
Yep.
So the futures market, I mean, gosh, like August, Sep, 187, 192. So call it about $1.90 on average. So the futures market's telling us we're going right back to basically the high end of this channel. So right. I think you have to be respectful of that. I think at the very least, we got to go fill this gap, which is about 183, 184-ish.
I'd agree. With
you. We shall see.
We'll see. Well, short week this week. We'll see if we can do it by Thursday. 2 more trading sessions in this week. If not, we'll open back up Monday and see what spot gives us.
Are you going to take some pictures or something like that? Or like,
I've got a GoPro. We're going to take it to the fireworks stand, and when they shoot them off, I'm going to try to videotape it, and maybe we can put it on here when I get it. It's a lot of fun. I mean, to watch them set it up and get it all wired in and shoot them off is actually quite the feat of engineering. And so it's pretty cool. I'm going to try to get a GoPro out there and kind of film the whole thing. So
please do.
It'll be fun.
I'll be sitting here with like those little like snake pellets. You know, those things are where you like light them and a little thing, like the snake comes out and like some sparklers. That's all we get.
Well, come on over to Michigan.
I may just have to make a trip.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you guys tuning in. J Barf, we appreciate you sending us your request, international presence. We appreciate your request. If anyone has one for next week, please let us know. We'll be back right after the 4th of July holiday. Everyone have a great rest of the week. It's going to be hot this weekend. Drink lots of water. Enjoy the 4th. Enjoy time with friends and family. We'll see you next week.